Hello, my name's Rihanna and today I'm going to take you through an actor's technique that I find really useful when I first start exploring a new character, just because it gives me a really good foundation to build on for that character. So it's really simple and all you will need is yourselves and just a little bit of room to move about in, whatever that means for you. So if you're able to walk about in it, that's great. Or if you can move about however you're able to, that's great too. And it's really as simple as that. But first of all, we'll just need a quick warm up and stretch. So if you could begin by giving a stretch out to any areas that might need a bit of attention today. So anywhere that you're feeling sore or stiff, maybe you've got a slightly bad back, so you might want to bend and give your ribs a nice rub and pat down. That's always really nice to wake up this middle area. Maybe your legs need a stretch or your arms, give them a good stretch. Or maybe your neck. So give that some gentle neck rolls. Always go nice and slowly with your neck. But it really helps to make sure everything stays nice and loose and ready to go. So once you've stretched out any areas that need it, I'm going to take you through an exercise that we like to call rubber chicken. Now this is a really silly wake up exercise that's brilliant for loosening up and waking up your body and giving you a really good boost of energy. So it's dead silly, you'll need to let go a little bit and we'll all have some fun. So you start off by giving your right arm a shake 8 times and you count down out loud from 8, and then you do the same with your left arm and then your right leg and then your left leg, or whatever parts of you find easiest, and then you do the same again but 4 times on each limb, and then 2 times, and then 1 time, and then we do a big jump and shout rubber chicken at the end. So are we ready? We start with our right arm in 3, 2, 1. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Rubber chicken! And flop forward. Whew. Let everything go loose. Nice and floppy. So take your eyes off the video for a little bit so that your head can go nice and floppy. And make sure your arms are loose too. And really importantly, make sure that your knees aren't locked if you stood up doing this, so that there's no pressure on those either. Give yourself a little shake so that you know that everything's loose, nothing is hanging on to any tension. And take a couple of deep breaths down here, just to get your breath back after all that shaking about. And then we slowly, very, very slowly, vertebra by vertebra, start rolling up really gently so that you don't get a head rush after all that rubber chicken in. Really slowly until your head's up too. And stand nice and tall. Imagine there's a puppet master holding you on some strings and there's the one string really taut on your head, holding your head up nice and tall. Just bring your chin up slightly so that we're in a lovely tall posture in a nice neutral stance. And here's where we start our actor's technique. So what I'd like you to do is start moving about the room, whatever room you have. Now, if you have plenty of floor space, that's great. If you only have a little bit and you just want to move back and forth from 2 points, that's fine too. If you want to go one step further, if you've not got that much room right here, you can always move past the video, take your eyes off it, or even stick your headphones in if you have it on a phone, and just take me for a little walk in your pocket. I can talk you through it. You won't need to watch the video for the whole time, and you'll still hopefully be able to follow along. So basically use whatever room that you have to move around in, and just take yourself for a nice stroll. So move around as yourself now, and just start to notice from this, you know, you're yourself, but it's a neutral walk in a nice ready posture that we've just created through our warm-up. And just start to notice how you move through the room. what makes you you as you move. So do you have a tendency to walk quite quickly, naturally? Or are you more leisurely and slow? Or are you somewhere in between? What do you do with your arms? Are they stiff by your side or do they loosen up a little bit? And what about your foot placement? If you're walking around, is it sort of the usual heel to ball of the toes, or is it more, do you walk on the outer edges of your feet a little bit more? Is that where you take the weight, maybe? So have a think and really clock each bit of your body as you move and think about what makes that movement recognisable as you. And then what we're going to focus on today is where we or our characters lead from. So by that, I mean, where is your centre? What bit of your body propels you forward? And it's not necessarily the bit that sticks out the furthest forward, but it's where you feel the motivation from. So as an example on me, on a confident day where I'm walking nice and tall, I might lead with my chest, like this, holding my head up. I'm open, arms are down and loose, but it's my chest and my heart space that's propelling me forward. So on you, it might be something totally different. It might be different on different days. It could be your head. It could be your hips. It could be your knees. Or maybe it's your chest too. So have a think about where your centre might be, and then start to play with them. Play with different centres of your body, different leading points. So what happens if you lead with your nose or with your toes if you're walking about? What happens? Does that slow you down? Or maybe it quickens you? What happens to the rest of your body when you change your centre of movement, when you change the point that you're leading from? So play with a couple. And then start putting characteristics to those. So this is where we start building a character. So normally I might walk with my chest, but if I play around with that and start walking with my hips as my centre, that to the rest of my body, it changes a lot. So it makes my arms swing a lot more, makes me walk slower. And the characteristics I might put with this are that I feel a lot more arrogant, or maybe just a lot more confident. I feel unhurried. If I walked into my workplace like this, I'd sort of sense that I owned the place maybe. And you might even start putting specific characters onto those traits. It might make you feel like someone in a film that you've seen, or a book that you've read, or a play that you've read or seen. So if I walk like this, I sort of start feeling maybe like a cowboy in an old Western film. So have a play and find one that you really like playing with, something different to your own centre that you'd identified, and now exaggerate that point. So it should start feeling a bit silly now, a lot less naturalistic, and it should really not look like you anymore. And if we're on a scale between 1 to 10, now the amount that you're exaggerating now is about at a 5. So it's a little bit silly. It's maybe like a character in something that's a bit heightened, a bit daft, but it's not, you'd get away with it. So now I want you to push that to a 6. So exaggerate a little bit more and see what that does. Remember to clock in on every other bit of your body, not just the centre, but think about what it does to every other bit and how you move, the speed at which you move, the lightness of how you move, and push it to a 7. And then an 8, so it should look really daft now, really silly, and everything else will be exaggerated. So my arms are swinging now. Push it to a 9. If you're leading with your hips like me, I'm nearly in a back bend. And then all the way to a 10. So push it as far as you can. And if you think about clowns and things in really big, silly slapstick comedy, that's where we should be getting at now. So you should have really recognisable traits. And then start to bring it down to a 9 again. And an 8. And a 7. Keep focusing on each bit though. A 7 is still very exaggerated, don't let go too much. A 6. And then bring it to a 5. So we're back where we were before. So it's still exaggerated. Still a character out of a comedy sketch or something maybe. And then bring it down a bit to a 4. So now we're going to head to a more naturalistic version of this character. And to a 3. And now take it down to a 2. So this should be looking pretty naturalistic now, wherever you're leading from. And then finally take it all the way down to a 1. So with this, my brain is still telling me that I'm leading from my hips. But other than my family and friends, who might think something was a little bit different about me if I walked like this is a naturalistic character now. But most importantly, I'm still feeling all the characteristics that I've assigned to leading from my hips. So this still makes me feel confident, and it makes me feel comfortable in my own skin moving like this. So you can either carry on playing with that movement for a little bit, or you can come to a standstill. But this is why I find this technique really helpful as an actor at the very start of a process, because later down the line in developing that character, it just gives me a really good check-in, a little trick up my sleeve. If I'm ever struggling, I can just remember where that character led from and what characteristics that gave me and how that made me feel. And it will probably change over time when you're developing a character, but that's fine too. So I'd encourage you to play with other centre points and leading points and see what characters you find from those.